Hey Moonlovers, welcome to another episode of All Things Moon, Lunar Wisdom for Everyday Life with myself, Kelly Jones, and we are on episode number 35. And I had quite an exciting email yesterday from a guy who's got an app where they track your chart position in all the different platforms that play your podcast. And apparently I am at number 117 on Apple Podcasts. And if you Google that and look it up, it will show you always the top 100 podcasts, and I'm at 117. So I'd love it if you could share this with others. And I am sitting with my new moon wishes this week, looking at and envisaging being in that top 100. Not that it really makes that much difference to my life, but it would be nice to be in that top 100 so that more people can come across it and more people can get some wisdom, some lunar wisdom. And always my intention with this podcast is to help you feel better in some way, to feel some relief, to feel some reassurance, to give you some hope, some faith, and something to believe in that is higher than ourselves. And we are made of stars, so it's not really higher, it's just that we have to look up to see them. And if we look up right now in the sky, as I said last week, you can still see Jupiter up there shining really bright as the evening star. And we have a new moon tomorrow in Sagittarius, and Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius, currently in the opposing sign of Gemini, going retrograde. So Jupiter may not be at its best performance over there. Jupiter, like Sagittarius, is to do with the big picture of life, the philosophies, our beliefs, that higher learning and wisdom. And it's currently traveling slightly backwards over in Gemini, who is to do with, the local gossip and the journalist and the minutiae details in the current story, rather than looking at the bigger picture and how all the dots join up. So we have this kind of, the moon over here. We want to put down our wishes and our intentions for this new moon in Sagittarius, which should really fill us with optimism and hope and abundance and joy and wisdom and things like of that nature. And opposite, although shining really bright, is a Jupiter that is maybe not performing at its best. But I shall crack on. So kind of done this off the cuff today, haven't got super amounts of notes. I've had a really, really busy week this week. A very good week, but very busy with lots of things going on. And this morning I was covering a Pilates class at Studio Libra, which was lovely. And tonight I will be back at Studio Libra doing a new moon gong bath with Tom, aka Gong to the Moon. That's who we are together. And he's currently off climbing. So when I got back from class, I have packed everything up. So where you can normally see Saturn and Uranus gongs behind me, they're not there at the moment because they are loaded up into the car ready for this evening's event. And we only have one ticket left, so we've nearly sold out. So really looking forward to doing that in a new environment. It's a much smaller studio, so it's going to be cozy in there. But hey, new things, new adventures. And that's what Sagittarius is all about, really. Loves a new adventure, loves starting something new. Does tend to have lots of new things started and unfinished. But we have Mercury retrograde this week. So officially turned retrograde on the 25th, on Monday. Although we know, we have been feeling it for the couple of weeks leading up to that. And Mercury is retrograde in Sagittarius. So although this Sagittarius wants to start new things, the Mercury retrograde really encourages us to wrap things up, get things finished that we've started, to go back over and review and reflect things that we've started and things that are going on, particularly things to do with communications and to do with travel and higher learning. So I am finally on the last question of my astrology paper. So that's going to go in. I keep saying it's going to go in, but this Mercury retrograde energy is making me go back over, and the questions have been very stealth. So you think you've answered the last question, you get to the next question and it makes you question the question before. So very Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, that scenario. I like to give you these examples of how it can show up. So we have the new moon in Sagittarius at 6:21 tomorrow morning UK time, because I'm here in the UK, and I will be holding a new moon ceremony tomorrow night, Sunday the 1st of December at 8 till 9:30 p.m. UK time, and you will find the link to join that in the show notes and on my website, kellyjones.com. That's KELLIE Jones, not .com, .me, kellyjones.me. So if you'd like to join and dive a lot deeper into the details of this coming new moon cycle, then I would love it if you could join me tomorrow evening. Before that, though, I am going to be taking myself off for a half-day retreat. Much needed. I literally booked this as soon as lovely yoga teacher that I know that works at the same studio. She used to work at my old studio, Mandy. She posted out this half-day retreat and I booked it straight away. I think I was probably the first person to book. And little did I know how much I was going to need it by now. And as it's a dark moon day today and a new moon tomorrow, when we should be resting, going inwards for some introspection, for some reflection time, for some rest and retreat. All those retrograde words that begin with RE, I will be doing that tomorrow afternoon. So when I hold my moon ceremony tomorrow evening, I should be in a very relaxed and chilled out space and energy. So yeah, dark moon today. Dark moon days are for going inwards, for resting, for noticing your inner world rather than the external world. So if you can, just shut that out as much as you can and sit and notice how you feel. What else? Another thing that to remind you of is this month, from tomorrow is the 1st of December. So in December, we've actually got 2 new moons, which is not that usual. And this year, we're going to have 2 new moons in Capricorn. So we've had one already earlier on in the year when we were in the sign of Cancer. And we're going to have another new moon in Capricorn. And that is really unusual. This year, we have not had a new moon in the sign of Cancer. No Cancer new moon. So I took it that, not having a new moon there in the sign of Cancer was probably a good thing. But this second new moon in the month of December is going to happen on the 30th. So literally before New Year's Eve. So you are going to have a real big chance to reflect. And the fact that it's in that Capricorn energy, if we think about the fact that Pluto has finally made its way out of Capricorn and all the things it's been doing to transform all things Capricornian. And it's now in the sign of Aquarius. It's giving us that chance to just reflect and look back. And is there anything to do with that Capricorn energy that we're going to need to address before next year arrives? But obviously I'll talk about that on that new moon with a lot more in depth. But I just wanted to let you know that we've got 2 new moons. So we've got 2 chances of new beginnings and starting again and writing down our wishes and what we'd like to manifest for ourselves. For Sagittarius and Capricorn, 2 very different energies. Capricorn being ruled by Saturn. So it would be very much about structure, systems, discipline, commitments. Whereas Sagittarius is much more around our beliefs, our perceptions, our higher knowledge, our philosophy on life, about being more daring and getting out of our comfort zone, things like that. So we've also got coming up this month on Christmas Eve, we have a Jupiter exact square to Saturn. Now, this has been really kind of hovering around all year, but it's coming to its exactness on the 24th, on Christmas Eve. So that is going to be about, if you think about Jupiter is the optimist and Saturn is the realist. So it's going to be about focusing and about finding some balance between over optimism and realism. So that's coming up in December as well. You may or may not notice that this is all very much around the mutable sign. So this particular new moon is very, very mutable. So it's the most adjustable, flexible, mutable signs of the zodiac. So this new moon energy will probably be felt more with those who have got their sun, moon, rising signs in that of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces, because they're your mutable signs of the zodiac. We've got Saturn currently direct in the sign of Pisces, and we've got him squaring to Jupiter, who is retrograde in Gemini. So there's some of the energies that we need to be aware of in this next coming moon cycle and this next coming month, basically. So I've got here, sort of finding our way, navigating our way through shifts and possible new beginnings, particularly for those mutable signs. So it will, we've got all signs in our birth chart, so it will show up in some area of your life. And the more you get to know your own birth chart, which you can now, have a reading with me, and we can have a look for you. I think I'm going to be busy with that in January. So if you're wanting to know and get to know and understand yourself via what was written in the stars for you at that exact moment that you were born and what's coming up in the future what areas of life it can affect you, or if there's anything that you're really specifically wanting to know, then we can have a look at that. But particularly for those mutable signs of Gemini, Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces, these shifts and new beginnings are more likely to be showing up. Which area of life will be dependent on which house area it is in your own individual birth chart. But this particular new moon is really giving us an opportunity with this Mercury retrograde energy for introspection and reflection, particularly around our beliefs. So that's the real strong energy of this new moon. So new moon in Sagittarius in a square to Saturn in Pisces. So that's again about this thing between optimism, Sagittarius, realism, Saturn. So, you might want to take a note down and see where that's showing up for you. And also look when we do come out of this inner introspection from this dark moon, new moon energy, when you do venture back out into looking in the external world, where can we see that reflected in the collective? Where are beliefs shifting? Where are we starting to question the narratives and the beliefs that we may have had? And now we're seeing things that are testing and challenging that, the realism of it. This particular energy, a Sagittarius new moon, is normally one to really look forward to and fill us with lots of, hope and joy. But I think there are some testing energies here that would test our patience a little bit, some potential for some conflict and frustration and some blocks. They could be internal blocks and frustrations, and they could be external. So, a good time to sit down and reflect on that as well. This kind of feeling of wanting to be free and have some space, but also at the same time noticing realistically. Hello. What? Hi, I'm back. So apologies for any break in this podcast, but Mercury is retrograde, which can interfere with communications. And as you probably might see, this is a chance for me to learn how to edit and splice two halves together. So hopefully you get the whole bit. I had an interruption. Tom came home early, unexpectedly, in the middle of me recording. So I've just had a bit of a break and I am back again. So I have no idea where I got to, but I think I was talking about wanting freedom and space and not feeling restricted or trapped by where we are currently. So this new moon will help us to grow our sense of self, our trust in our own value, and our ability to be independent. And as I said earlier, we may be challenged to work with any blocks and restrictions that are internal to us, but also things that are external out in the world. But very much this gives us an opportunity to not just look at our beliefs, but our beliefs come from the stories that we tell ourselves. Yeah. The stories that are told by others, but also the stories that we tell ourselves, more importantly, based on maybe external things. So this moon is going to give us an opportunity to notice those stories more, sit down and reflect on what we are not just telling ourselves, but what we repeat out loud over and over again, and it creates it into reality. So we have this, Jupiter dream of optimism and how we'd like it to be, and then that Saturn reality of how it really is. But how much are we playing a part in creating that restrictive reality based on our beliefs, based on our self-worth, based on our trusting ourselves? So, not just questioning the external narrative, but questioning our own narrative. And looking at how that's limiting our growth into what we wish to manifest. And new moons are our perfect time to readdress what we want to manifest for ourselves. So obviously this new moon is in a square to Saturn, but also it is in an opposition to Jupiter that is currently retrograde in Gemini. So that will have us reflecting on our beliefs. On Christmas Eve, as I mentioned before, that square between Saturn and Jupiter will become exact. So it will bring all of this stuff to a head or a conclusion. So use this time of self-reflection to be ready for that conclusion so that you can put it to rest and move forwards into a new year. And we're also in this new era of time, this Aquarian age, with our convictions and our optimism back, and maybe writing a new story for ourselves which serves us better and helps us to grow. So, I could have got angry earlier when I got interrupted, but I'm going to use it as an opportunity to learn how to edit two halves of a video together. The opposition between Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion and growth, really helps us it's going to magnify it. Yeah, even though the moon is hardly seen. So if it was a full moon, it'd be even more magnified. But it's a new moon. So what new beginning can we have on our learning? And, how can we use it to help us dream big again when we've come across these blocks and restrictions that Saturn presents us with? How can we sit and discover within ourselves what is limiting us, but being real, mature and responsible about it rather than getting in a paddywhack like a child over it. Jupiter can emphasize our tendency to exaggerate things, to overdo things, to take on too much. So maybe look at where you've been doing that as well. Use Saturn's reality check to get real on it. Is it really that difficult? Is it really that hard? And the Sagittarius energy gives us the urge to adventure. So maybe the adventure into self is where we need to go if we are restricted from going on an actual adventure. But if you get the opportunity to do that, go for it, but maybe wait to book your ticket until Mercury has moved on. So yeah, because Jupiter and Mercury are both retrograde, the chance to rethink, reflect, review our beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves, that how they've come up and limited us and keeping us small. That is what we are being presented with on this new moon. We also have, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but we have a nice harmonious aspect going on with this new moon as well. It's in a trine to Mars. Mars is in Leo, and Mars is just about to turn retrograde in the sign of Leo, which we'll talk about further on into it. And also between the North Node, which is in Aries. And North Node is about where we are headed in life. It's our destiny, if you like, where our purpose is. But it really is enhancing this journey of self-discovery. So use this time for that. That is my advice to you today. So I thought what I would do to finish up with is to give you some journaling prompts. Now, I do journaling prompts with oracle cards on my moon ceremony, but I thought I would just, share those today in case you can't make it to the moon ceremony. If you are coming to the moon ceremony and you've already done these journaling prompts, there will be some slightly different emphasis on there, some different questions. But this will give you a chance to be ready for tomorrow. So you've really had a time to think about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the journaling prompt to you. And whilst I'm doing it, I'm going to shuffle the cards. So I have got the good tarot cards out. One of my favourites. They're a gift from my sister-in-law. Colette Barron reads Good Tarot. I'm going to put my glasses on. Now, this is the last week that we should get this glare in my glasses, because on Tuesday I'm picking up my new glasses, which I have ordered, finally had an eye test, and I've been putting it off for 4 years. So yes, it has got slightly worse. And I've got some lovely new glasses coming with the whole anti-glare thing going on. So I'm quite excited to get those, because I'll be able to see more clearly, and you'll be able to see me without so much glare. So first journaling prompt is, if all your fears and blocks were to disappear overnight, what would you really wish to be doing? What would you be doing? What would your life look like if all your fears and blocks were to disappear? So we have, and you can pause this while you're pondering with your journal, but we have the Empress card. I'm just trying to show you that without the glare on it. There we go. The Empress card. I love these cards. Look at that. So amazing. Look at that. It's beautiful. So we've got the Empress card, and the Empress card, I'll just find it for you so I can read this out to you. It's good to sit down with these thoughts, if all your fears and blocks, because they're your Saturnian things, if you could just grab onto that Jupiter energy of optimism and higher beliefs and increase your wisdom and not have any of that stuff in the way, what would it be that you'd be doing? And the Empress card in this deck is all to do with fertility. So it's a wonderful time to give birth to new ideas and experiences. So I love it when the cards always back up the moon phase. Nourishment is assured as I step into a new version of myself with better beliefs. My life is rich and ripe with possibility that I can manifest and create. I am a powerful co-creator, and life loves me right now. My world is brimming with potential and infinite possibility that will manifest for the highest good. So that's the message from the Oracle for that journaling prompt. But I want to give you a couple more here, just so we have had a full experience through this podcast. I just thought I would do something different today. So, which beliefs, we've mentioned this before, but which beliefs and stories are you telling over and over again, either to yourself or to others? When we say it out loud, we're just reiterating that belief and that story to ourselves. And that's because that's where our focus is, that's where our radar is leading us. That's what we find. Can we change our radar? Set it on a different setting so it's not on that belief anymore, giving you the evidence of what you've been leaving and looking for new evidence. Which beliefs and stories are you telling over and over again that are limiting your life from transforming? And so the card that has come out is Seven of Earth. Just trying to get that into some kind of focus for you so you can see it. So the Seven of Earth card. Let's find the deeper meaning of that. Okay, so with Saturn involved in this, Saturn is very much about structure, systems, and strategy. And this is opening to a new strategy, being at a crossroads and a decision to be made. Perfect for this month coming up as we step into this new era, as we verge on a new year. As I reflect on my progress to date, reflection time with Mercury, and see where I stand, I contemplate whether I want to continue singing the same song and change my tune. Well, song, story, beliefs, it's all there. I am always free to go back and reimagine what I might co-create. If what I manifested does not serve me as I thought it might, I don't have to be afraid to admit that it's no longer for me. Whatever I choose to do, I am not afraid to start over, for I feel assured that Spirit will always support my highest good. So I love it when the Oracle backs us up. And just something else I wanted to tell you about this Jupiter-Saturn alignment. Whether they're in a conjunction, an opposition, a square, they always bring up this optimism versus realism subject. And my astrology teacher, Adam Ellenbass of Nightlight Astrology, he did a video just in this past week about this Jupiter-Saturn alignments, and he did some journaling prompts on there about, what were my beliefs, how were my beliefs and perceptions changing, and what was I in the process of building throughout all the dates going backwards, looking at those alignments. So he went back all the way to May 2000, to 2005 to 2006, mid to late August 2010, 2015 to 2016, and December of 2020. But I really recommend that you go and listen to his YouTube video and listen to those journaling prompts and those dates and a lot more detail about all of that. But I did this, I sat down and I really could see where that alignment had changed my trajectory on those years. What had happened, what was I building? So, me starting my business and then how my business changed and how my beliefs and perceptions at that point and the reality of where I was and what I was dreaming about shifted and changed me into the next part. So really good things to be pondering on for this new moon. So I hope that you can join me tomorrow, and if not, I hope this has served you, and apologies for any break in any flow in this podcast this week, and I will look forward to speaking with you again next week. And, message me with any of your stories and anything that you've come up with, because I'd love to hear from you. And please share away and help me get up in that top 100. See you next week.